He walked into the store like any other customer. Quiet, unassuming, just a man looking for a laptop. But what no one knew was that he wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was the owner. The very walls, shelves, and cash registers belonged to him. Yet in minutes, he was about to be treated like he didn't belong at all. A bold lie from a salesman would not only strip away his dignity, but reveal a painful truth about how the world still sees him. What was that lie, and why did it change everything? For most people, success means freedom. Freedom to walk into any space and be respected. For Marcus, a self-made black entrepreneur, that success was hard-won. He had built his store from the ground up, turning late nights and endless sacrifices into a business that stood proudly on the city's busiest street. To passers-by, it was just another electronics shop. But to Marcus, it was proof that he had carved a place for himself in a world that often tried to shut him out. Yet despite his title as owner, Marcus preferred to keep a low profile. He dressed simply, blending in with the same customers he served, watching quietly from a distance. It was his way of staying connected to the ground, of making sure his employees treated every shopper with dignity. On that particular day, he stepped through the doors unnoticed, just another man in search of a laptop. What he didn't know was that in the next few minutes, his own store, his pride, his symbol of victory, would become the stage for a betrayal that cut far deeper than business. A lie was waiting for him, and it would reveal more than he was ever prepared to face. Marcus moved slowly down the aisles, running his hand across the polished counters he had personally chosen months ago. To everyone else, he was just another man in jeans and a jacket. He reached the display where the newest laptops were lined up, shiny, expensive, and carefully arranged to draw in buyers. That's when he heard it, a voice, sharp, dismissive, cut through the air. "Those aren't for browsing unless you're ready to buy." The salesman's tone wasn't friendly, not even neutral. It was dripping with something colder. Marcus turned, expecting a polite smile, maybe even recognition. Instead, he was met with narrowed eyes, scanning him like a threat. Marcus explained calmly that he was interested in a model. But before he could finish, the salesman stepped closer, lowering his voice. "These are high-end. You probably can't afford them. Let me show you something cheaper in the back." The words hung heavy in the air. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He wasn't a stranger to prejudice, but hearing it here in his own store felt like a knife twisting deep. He glanced around, waiting for someone else to notice, but the other employees kept moving, oblivious, or perhaps unwilling to intervene. Still, Marcus played along, curiosity burning inside him. He wanted to see how far this would go. The salesman pulled out an older, bulkier laptop, outdated, overpriced, clearly unsellable. "This is more your speed," he said, sliding it across the counter as if doing Marcus a favor. Marcus's pulse quickened. His mind screamed to reveal the truth. "I own this place. I sign your paychecks." But something held him back. He wanted the mask to stay on. He wanted to see the truth when people thought no one was watching, and the truth was ugly. The salesman leaned in closer. "If you're not buying today, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. We can't have people loitering. Management doesn't like it." The irony almost made Marcus laugh, but the sting was too sharp. His jaw tightened. His eyes lingered on the "Respect Every Customer" poster hanging crooked on the wall. The hypocrisy screamed louder than any words, and then came the boldest lie of all. The salesman glanced around, then smirked. "The owner's not here, but trust me, he doesn't want people like you hanging around. You'd better go before I call security." Marcus's stomach dropped. It wasn't just discrimination, it was betrayal. His own name, his own face, erased and twisted into a weapon against him. Every sacrifice, every late night, every dream that built this store was being denied by the very people he trusted to protect it. But Marcus didn't move. He stayed silent, his heart pounding louder than the hum of the lights above. He wasn't leaving, not yet. Because this wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning of a reckoning that no one in that store would forget. The words echoed in Marcus's head like a gunshot. "The owner doesn't want people like you here." For a moment, the room spun. His own name erased, his presence rejected, his worth reduced to nothing. The salesman's smirk only deepened, confident, almost daring him to push back. Then, without hesitation, the salesman reached for the phone. "Security!" he barked loudly enough for nearby shoppers to hear. "We've got a problem here." Heads turned. Curious eyes fixed on Marcus as whispers rippled through the store. In seconds, the air grew heavier, charged with judgment. Strangers who had never seen him before were already deciding who he was. Marcus stood frozen, a storm raging inside. He wasn't just fighting for his dignity. He was fighting the invisible weight of every stereotype thrown at black men who dared to exist in spaces where they were deemed out of place. And now, in the store he had built brick by brick, he was being painted as the intruder. The crowd edged closer. Some pulled out phones, recording. To them, he was just another scene, another headline waiting to happen. Security rushed in, their faces hardened before he even spoke. "Sir, you need to leave." No questions. No fairness. Just authority backing the lie. Marcus's heart pounded. This was the breaking point. If he walked away silently, he'd be confirming their judgment. If he fought back, he'd be the aggressor. Every option carried a cost, and every second dragged the weight of history onto his shoulders. He clenched his fists, then slowly raised his head. The truth had been hidden too long, but not anymore. The lie had gone far enough. The room was silent now, all eyes locked on him, waiting to see what he would do. And in that silence, Marcus made a choice that would change everything. Marcus took a slow breath, his voice steady but laced with fire. He looked straight at security, then at the salesman, and finally at the crowd. "I am the owner of this store." The silence that followed was deafening. Shock rippled across the room. Mouths parted, eyes widened, whispers turned into gasps. The salesman's smug expression shattered instantly, his confidence crumbling as the truth sank in. The very man he tried to humiliate was the one who had given him a job, the one whose name was etched on every document that kept the lights on. For Marcus, exposing his identity wasn't about pride. It was about reclaiming dignity stolen in plain sight. Yet even as the salesman stammered apologies and security stepped back, Marcus felt no victory. Because the damage was already done. The sting of prejudice wasn't erased by a revelation. It had already left its mark, and that's the weight of racism. It doesn't always roar in obvious violence. Sometimes it whispers in lies, in assumptions, in the quiet theft of respect. What happened to Marcus could happen to anyone who looks like him, regardless of their success or their title. This wasn't just his story. It was a mirror reflecting countless others, unseen, unspoken, endured in silence. So ask yourself, how many more times must dignity be stripped away before we confront the truth? How many more lies, how many more judgments before justice means respect for all? The story of Marcus is not just about one man. It's about a world still deciding who belongs and who doesn't. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we all stopped pretending not to see.